Hello there, I'm Ryan, and welcome to my channel Analyze This Mr. Bond, where I discuss the adventures of James Bond 007 and dig for what lies beneath the surface. And today we are digging into the subject of James Bond and reality television. As some of you may be aware, Season 2 of the James Bond reality TV series 007 Road to a Million debuted recently. I've only just now had time to catch up with Season 2 of Road to a Million. Like many Bond fans, I actually didn't finish the first season of 007 Road to a Million. My sense is that most fans, or at least many fans, shared my ambivalence about the first season of 007 Road to a Million. It seemed like a reality show that didn't have a strong identity either as a work of reality television or as an expression of the James Bond phenomenon. It seemed a little bit uncertain of what it wanted to be on all fronts, and I'm happy to report that Season 2 of 007 Road to a Million is much stronger in all respects. It's much more sure of its identity as part of the broader James Bond phenomenon. In fact, it leans very heavily into the James Bond fantasy in a way that I enjoy. It feels lush and extravagant in all the ways that you would want a show about people living out the Bond fantasy to be. But I still think there's room for this concept of a James Bond reality TV show to grow and develop. I think 007 Road to a Million is still in some ways finding its footing, still figuring out what a James Bond reality TV show should be. It's now successfully figured out what it means to capture the James Bond fantasy essence in terms of imagery and set pieces, but I don't know that it's quite figured out how to bake that into the essence of reality television. Reality television is sometimes disdained for its lowbrow entertainment value. But I say this as someone who has watched his fair share of reality television. I actually really respect what it takes to craft great reality television. It's easy to churn out low quality reality television. It's very difficult to craft a reality TV show that develops a following, that drives so called water cooler conversation on a daily basis after episodes drop. And I'm not sure that 007 Road to a Million is quite there, in part because I think it's afraid to lean into some of the aspects that make reality TV compelling. There's a sense in which both seasons of 007 Road to a Million are very concerned with respectability. They want to feel like a prestige version of a reality TV show. And I, for one, love the high production values. I think the way they have spent so much time and money capturing these gorgeous locations, building these wonderful set pieces for the contestants to explore is commendable. But what these shows don't quite do is drill into the fundamental aspect of reality television. The fundamental appeal of reality television isn't the trappings, it isn't the window dressing, it's people, and it's the dynamics of people together. What drives an audience to obsessively watch a reality TV show is watching a group of people in difficult or interesting circumstances develop certain interpersonal dynamics together and have to work through those or overcome challenges together. And there's certainly a flavor of that in 007 Road to a Million. It gives us duos who are tasked with overcoming physical challenges in a riff on the standard challenge competition show format. I think the core concept of Road to a Million, namely that this is a competition show where people essentially prove that they are worthy of the James Bond mantle, or at least the mantle of being considered to be a double O, is the right framework. I think that's the right idea for a reality TV show. We have plenty of reality TV shows that are essentially built around skill tests. These challenges are always appealing. What really makes skill checks fascinating are interpersonal stories, especially stories that begin to create real drama. There's a notion in reality TV shows that you have archetypes that naturally develop over the course of a series. You have the reality TV show heroes and you have the reality TV villains. And over the course of a season, people have hero arcs and they have villain arcs. And for a show to really have villain arcs, you really have to have all these people acting together and you have to let people behave a little badly. And I think you can bring that naturally into the format of 007 Road to a Million. If this show is, as the second season really clarifies, a testing ground for people's eligibility in the 00 program, essentially, you can really lean into that. Bring 20 people together who think they are worthy of being the equal of James Bond. Don't just pick the nice people, pick some of the arrogant, difficult people who think they're worthy of being James Bond. Pick people who could be a 007 as well as turn out to be a disgruntled 006 turncoat. And put them all together. Let them all stay together in the same area in essentially a 00 agent barracks, and progressively, week by week, put them through skill checks against one another. Sometimes team-based competitions, sometimes individual competitions, to earn their quote-unquote license to kill by the end of the program. You can do the same sort of grandiose stunt challenges that the show has done, but you can also focus on more particular things that really pressure test each person's skill set to be James Bond. Can they satisfactorily drive a car around a stunt course? Can they identify a fine champagne versus a cheap champagne? Can they dress appropriately for black tie? Can they perform well at target practice? Can they ski down a pretty tricky ski slope? There are a lot of ways to kind of pressure test people against the skill tests of James Bond's considerable capability set. It's kind of like the reality TV show version of Joe Darlington's book Being James Bond, where he looked at trying to become capable in all the various facets of Bond's talent set. I think you can really build a escalating series of challenges around how much you can be like James Bond, because James Bond is a paradoxical character. He's not just a character who does feats of strength, but he's a character who also exists in the space of taste and a space of intelligence. So you can do challenges like you have 60 minutes to come up with a cocktail that nobody's heard of before, because James Bond is the kind of character who's able to invent a cocktail on the fly. So do it and be tested by world-renowned mixologists who are going to evaluate and rank your creations accordingly. Or you could have a double agent lurking somewhere in the midst of all these contestants. And one of the subplots of the show is that they kind of have to figure out who's the traitor in their midst, who's the Spectre agent that has infiltrated their group. And that can build on some of the interpersonal drama. You don't have to do all of these ideas together. In fact, reality TV needs a pretty clear concept to anchor in. But I think these ideas, if pulled together appropriately, where you're really watching people either succeed or fail at the kaleidoscope of Bond facets, provides a little bit more variety and a little bit more interpersonal tension as they go through these skill tests. When I was thinking about what would be the most satisfying possible scenario I could see in a Bond reality TV show, it might be something as crazy as a guy who's given the assignment to go out and flirt with a stranger and do so using some crazy Bond pickup lines and try to make it work. Bond is a fantasy character. It would be really striking to see the kind of divide between reality and fantasy when real world people go into those situations and try to employ Bond techniques that break down a little bit in the real world. That could be really, really entertaining. I think it would be hilarious TV to watch people try to struggle through some James Bond dialogue as they're courting a stranger in a bar. I know that's tricky to make that work, but I mean, reality TV shows have been doing that kind of thing forever, and that's kind of the bread and butter of reality TV. It's as exciting to watch somebody fail as it is to watch somebody succeed. Let some of the more arrogant contestants be humbled, and some of the more humble contestants prove themselves capable. That's a reality TV show I'd really like to watch. And James Bond stories are sensationalized, they are dramatic. And in many ways, so is reality TV, just not on the same terms. And what I'm looking for, if this concept of Bond reality TV continues here under Amazon's watch, is more drama, more of that inherent narrative tension. I want this heightened conflict between heroes and villains. And I think reality TV can be very good at creating scenarios where those tensions arise pretty naturally and organically over time. And these are fairly off the cuff thoughts about Bond reality TV. I'm curious, have you given 007 Road to a Million Season 2 a try? If so, do any of my complaints or ideas ring true? Would you want to see any more Bond reality TV? Would you not? I'm generally in a place personally where I'm good with seeing more Bond reality TV at this point. I think Road to a Million Season 2 is strong enough that I think there's a path forward here that could be fun. This could be a fun way to bide time between movies, to have shows like this that just kind of celebrate the broader Bond phenomenon. But I think there just needs to be a little bit more meat on the bones as far as the reality TV of it all is concerned. So, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.